Test side, Sydney are hot favourites to not only win, but win convincingly. Despite the withdrawal of Steve Mortimer and Les Boyd, it's still a very strong side. Those who didn't play in last year's tests against France are 5'8" Mick Patterson, halfback Peter Sterling, second rowers John Muggleton and Bruce Walker, prop John Caveney, and the new skipper, hooker Max Krilich. Well, while Country can't expect to win, their selectors have really demonstrated that they've got absolutely nothing to lose. Not one member of this side played for Country first last year, and what they lack in experience, they'll make up for in youth, fitness and keenness. Lithgow centre Jeff Pensini, 5'8" Mark Harrigan, second rowers Goodwin and Brooks, and former Queensland prop Willie Tarry will be the player. Centre to ground, it was fullback Guida who finished the tackle. Hilditch, and that's how it should be done, going low. Looked to be Goodwin. Sterling, Patterson, trailed through by Walker, using an overlap, Muggleton. Beautiful pass. Fullback Brendel going for the line, will score the first try. Good scrum win for Sydney. Now they're on the attack. Patterson next to the scrum base. Price. Hilditch standing flat-footed. Sterling. Muggleton. He's away. He'll score himself. And the Country skipper, Terry Donnelly, is absolutely disgusted with himself for missing that tackle. Muggleton getting out of Donnelly's tackle.
Stage, they're going pretty good, but they must continue to tackle.
Well, here's a chance for Sydney now with Brendel unloading to Rogers, who snapped it up beautifully on the half volley. Rogers looked for support. He's 10 metres out. Bowstead dummy half. Price. Patterson. Cronin through the gap. Nice tackle there, but from second rower Goodwin. Muggleton. It's Patterson. Krilich to direct operations. Sterling. That's a neat little run by the halfback. Lovely pass. Greg Brendel. In fact, he has touched down. Brendel got up and wanted to run around behind the posts. Referee Dangy said no, he'd already grounded it in goal. Up one to Sydney. Payton, the halfback, penalised for not retiring. And the scrum in a handy position for Sydney now. Running up to half-time, and Sydney looking for a further try. Price caught by Goodwin. Krilich playing it forward, he's through. This is a try to Ray Price. And that's inexperience. The experience of Ray Price showing. Peter Sterling, talk about a nice dummy. You won't see better than that, and a lovely pass. Walker, where's the support? It's in Patterson. Patterson looks inside. Rebo, the ball was knocked forward backwards by Country. And that's going to be Ray Price's second try. Now that might have looked like a knock on to Sydney, but in fact it had been knocked backwards by Country, and the whistle didn't blow. Referee Danzy played
that straight line. If they get a little bit over anxious and they move up and they create that gap, then the Sydney players will find it. And we see now the ball going across the back line, and that's the type of football I expect we're going to see in the second half.
Brendel getting it out on the far side, and that's another try. Mick Cronin this time touching down. Sydney really starting to take control of this game now. Once again, the damaging player was Greg Brendel. Krilich, Sterling, Brendel, Sterling, Rogers. He was set upon by Pensini. Cronin. Open side is Caveney. Now to Sterling. Long pass from Thompson found Brendel. Brendel's through again and gives it to Bowstead, who dives over. Hit the corner post, but he had grounded the ball. And here again the
Castle.
And in the change made in the Countryside, winger Jim Palmer has left the field. Greg Guida has switched from fullback to the left wing, and John Maguire, who comes from Bateman's Bay, has gone on as fullback in number 14. This is Ron Hilditch giving it to Caveney. Or it's Alan. It's at Caveney. Showed a fair bit of pace through the ruck there. There's going to be a scrum on halfway almost. Country ball, and Donnelly gives it there to Maguire.
He's no doubt glad he's got a run because he was disputing the fullback position with Guida. Oh, Alexander, a solid tackle there from Caveney. That bent him backwards. That must have hurt. He didn't show any signs of it. Farah's left it and picked up by Walker. So the country football now becoming quite full of errors, and Sydney are capitalising. They've got possession. Muggleton trailed through by Cronin. A beautiful pass to the centre. Cronin's got Rogers coming up inside. Stevie Rogers won't get away from the winger. Both wingers coming after him. Guida cuts him down, but he's over. Greg Guida showing good pace to get across. Rebo. Lamb. It's Brentnell out to Cronin. Brentnell. Beautiful little flick pass back to Mortimer. Right out to Hilditch. He keeps it going through Lamb and away to Walker. Bruce Walker not held. Up to halfway. That's a good break by the second rower. His country defence is stretched now. One tackle to go. Sterling. Krilich. Out to Muggleton. Good pace to Mortimer. Mortimer looking for his winger. The ball was knocked down. Brentnell's picked it up. Brentnell, another flick pass. Beautiful hands. Here's Rebo from the left wing. Rebo's streaking away down the right flank, getting the pass off the right winger and scores. Good work, John Rebo. Hasn't had the opportunities on the left wing, so he went looking for them and made his own try there. That was a good clean rake by Hilditch. Sterling straight through, as easy as you please. Just one little dummy, a quick little flick of the ankles, accelerated off the mark and went straight through without a hand being put on him. Sydney about 32 metres out. Craig Young picked up Rebo. Price, Sterling, Lamb. That's better defence. Matthews coming through on him quickly. Back to Sterling. On Caveney. Cronin. Still getting it away to Lamb. Long one to the centres. Muggleton's out there to Rebo. Gets it out to Walker and away to Mortimer. Racing downfield. Brentnell infield. Brentnell skipping out of tackles. Gives it back to Rebo. Long pass to the wingers. Mortimer. Getting it back to Rebo. Wrapped up ball and all by Farah. Brentnell. Young. Sterling. Price. Went past him to Muggleton. Had a fair game, Muggleton. So Sterling. Sterling showing his pace. Floating it out to Boasted. Fullbacks across. Boasted in. Good try. That's a fine try to Kerry Boasted. His second. And I don't think that would be disputed too hotly, although it's pretty difficult to split Sterling from a couple of other players. Craig Young. Muggleton. This man's had a good game. Now Lamb. Cronin. Sterling. Over the top is Rebo. Stepping inside. Ran away from Duke. Realised that was probably his best prospect. Muggleton. So play with just on a minute to go. Young's pass, long one, right out over the top, intercepted. Here's Guida. The defence is after him. Brentnell and Guida. Guida's going to race away and score. An intercept try. Greg Guida crosses the line for country in the last minute of the game. This is David Brooks first. Try scorer was Greg Guida from Tamworth City. And here's Tamworth City RSL club mate David Brooks to attempt a conversion. So Brooks from wide out. Looks good. Swinging away from the posts. No goal. There it is, referee Jack Danzy ending the game. And Sydney have run out convincing winners, their 7th win in a row over country, 47-3, scoring 11 tries.
And the only way to sum up the result, Sydney too strong, too fit and too classy in scoring 11 tries to 1. Brentnell, Price and Bowstead each got 2, 1 each to Muggleton, Cronin, Rogers, Rebo and Sterling, and Mick Cronin kicked 7 goals from 11 attempts. The only points for Country, that last-minute try scored by Greg Guider. Max Krilich was held level at 6-all in the scrums at half-time. He won the second half scrums 6-3 to give himself the advantage of 12-9. Penalties favoured Country by 12-7. Well, what can you say about a turning point in the game? Sydney just far too good. But there were 12 good tries scored in the match. Reg, which was your best?
Alan, there were some great tries there. Of the 12 tries scored in the game, I thought that Mick Cronin's try just prior to half-time enabled Sydney to lead 26 points to 0. And it was typical of the Sydney type of play of moving the ball across the back line, and Greg Brentnell, as he's been doing all day, up in the attack. In fact, he handled twice during this movement. There's Kerry Bowstead there to Brentnell, onto Mick Cronin, and it's classic football and typical of the way Sydney scored some of their tries. A fine try to Mick Cronin.
Well, one of many great Sydney tries, but undoubtedly the man of the match was Sydney fullback Greg Brentnell. One of the most dominating displays seen by a fullback for some time. He continually lived in the back line and really had nothing to do in defence at all because of the dominance of the Sydney side, and he must surely have consolidated his position as Australia's #1 fullback.
A disappointing result then as far as Country were concerned. They trailed 26-0 at half-time before this ground record attendance of 22,000. In the end though, Sydney far too good, running out winners by 47 points.